welcome to Push Your Glasses Up. I'm Mikey.
And I'm Reena, and hi.
Hello.
I feel like it's been a minute.
It's about a month, I think. Exact timing.
Also, all you can see is my dog's butt. Let me move that out of the frame.
Well, you can't see her on the actual recording that we're doing. So, all you did was just say that and then go like this a bit.
Okay, good. Okay, I didn't know she was in the frame, and I'm like, all you can see is like one pork chop and a Cheeto tail. Okay,
yeah, the framing on the recording a little smaller than the framing in Discord.
Okay.
But we are back from a little bit away from finishing up the first half of WandaVision. We're gonna jump into the second half of WandaVision, which was pretty excellent. I think mostly we'll probably focus on the last two episodes, because the other stuff was good, but like the big reveal came at the end of the third to last episode, and then it was mostly a catch up on Wanda's history, and then the finale. So I think we can mostly focus on that stuff. But what did you think of these episodes?
I mean, I love the whole. Now it's hard to just think of the last 5 episodes or whatever, because now I'm thinking of the series as a whole, and I absolutely loved it. I loved it. I know it started off a little slow and people kind of critiqued that, but like
not me.
It all made sense.
I loved it.
I know, not you, but it all made sense in the end, and like just the way that like the story built and the way you kind of looked back, and I actually like the recaps of like her past. And, like, the way that it just kind of put it in chronological order for us, because we've gotten bits and pieces throughout the MCU of, like, what she'd been through. So I thought that was actually a really great take, especially for someone who may not have seen every single movie, like, or forgot Age of Ultron, or, like, whatever. But no, I really liked it. I felt like it was just really great storytelling. And, to watch someone deal with their grief in such a way, I don't think we've seen that kind of storytelling before, especially not
like mainstream superhero Marvel.
Yeah, and like in comparison to other Marvel TV properties, like centering on like one woman's story. I just thought the character development was awesome, like as she was doing the wrong thing, trying to do the right thing, trying to cope, and the volume of the conflicting emotions was really cool.
Yeah, I absolutely adored it. I to the point where we've talked about this before, how I have always kept the, like, when I'm ranking things like on Letterboxd, whatever, I tend to keep these solo movies separate from the Avengers movies, like just having their own ranking. I've now gotten to the point though where if there's going to be TV shows involved too, I just need to like shove everything together, because it's just, they let you rank WandaVision, like they let you rate it and rank it and put it on lists on Letterboxd, which most TV actually, it doesn't let you do that. It's just movies. And I now have it as number 2 in the entire MCU for me. I have it right behind Endgame, right in front of Infinity War, because I think it does better than most of the shows, mostly because it gives time to breathe to the characters. It just lets their development work itself out instead of having to like get to the 2-hour mark and be complete. So I'm really, really satisfied with how it came out. I know it was a little maybe underwhelming, the finale itself, just because it did end up, after being such a like strange kind of look at everything, it a big portion of it was just like punchy. And sort of the old trope of, and we got it with two different characters of just facing off against the same power set. It's very like phase 1, especially, with like Iron Man, Ironmonger, and like just that kind of thing. But
this was kind of like her origin story-ish. Like, not entirely, but her coming into the Scarlet Witch.
Oh, yeah,
so it made sense out of that playbook.
All of that, super satisfied with. It was just the, like... It was basically what people probably expected of any sort of Marvel show before we got what we did. So, like, if before anybody watched the show, everyone was probably like, cool, there's going to be, like, a magic fight, or Vision will fight somebody, and it'll probably be a similar style robot thing. It was just not as high for me as the rest of the show was. But the stuff at the end of the finale, for me, was stellar. It the goodbye stuff.
Let's talk about like some of the things that have happened across the episodes that like culminated in the finale. One would be her twins, Tommy and Billy, who we know as Speed and Wiccan and the comics. And can I just say, like, I don't know if this is like my cool auntie like Ness talking, but I love them. I like absolutely adored her kids. Like, I just thought they were great. I especially loved that Wiccan was like a little more sensitive, and because he had his mom's powers, he's a little more connected into what's going on, where Speed is kind of more like his uncle. Yeah. He's a little more like kind of lets it all go, which actually I kind of like that dynamic because my brothers are like that too. Like, one of them is sort of like lets everything roll off of him, and the other one's a little bit more sensitive. Yeah. So I just thought that dynamic was great, and I just liked them. Like, I just thought they were great kids.
I think,
and I want them to be part of the MCU.
I think a lot of people ended up having a problem with it just because they don't enjoy a lot of child actor stuff. Like, I thought it was good. I don't think that they necessarily were like the deepest of actors or anything like that, but I think it was good for performances for what they needed to do. Like, especially in the Malcolm in the Middle episode, like, it was perfect. They did a perfect job in that episode. So yeah, I think it's also like just perspective of like, I probably would have been in the same boat of not enjoying the stuff with the kids before I had a nephew, now 2 nephews. But I'm just at a place in my life now where I appreciate it a little bit more. I think that's really the big difference there, and maybe a lot of people don't have that connection to kids in their lives where it doesn't affect the things they're viewing as much, where maybe for you and me it does a little bit more these days. So,
well, also because I look at it in like the larger like universe too, and like who they become, and I want to see that. I want Wiccan to marry Hulkling. I want him to grow up and have a big gay wedding.
So this comes back to something that we talked about on a previous episode, or the previous episode, which is we talked about if they were going to be tangible outside of the construct, and if they would be growing up or anything outside of the construct, which is going to be interesting to see. Like, it's obvious at the end to jump to the very end of the finale, like, she is going to go find her family. Like, she's going to go find the kids. Which is like,
because they're her kids.
Yeah,
they are her.
Oh,
kids.
Yeah. That's like, not a denial. Yeah,
they weren't like, in the world she created, there's a lot of like people who are playing roles.
Yeah,
but those are her kids, and she is going to find them.
Exactly. Yeah, and so the question comes up because you had brought up on the previous episode if we will see them grow up, and I'm curious if it will be teenagers when we find them again, or if it will be the same kids. because that's where I'm like Marvel is, I think, in a place where they are starting to build out the next generation of heroes.
Mm-hmm.
So logistically,
might,
from that standpoint, it would make sense if they're teenagers on the business side of things. But
well, also there'll be a time jump because when WandaVision takes place, it's sort of right after everyone comes back, right? Because one of the first, it's not that long after, because it's one of the first things we see is, we see Monica come back, we see the hospital chaos of everyone undusting, reconfiguring. I don't know what you're gonna call it. Unpoofing,
unblipping.
So it's not that long after. And Vision is, disassembled. So obviously it can't be so far after the events.
No Avengers pun intended with disassembled.
Right?
Yeah.
So it can't be that far because all of this stuff is still very much in transition.
Well, I'm curious where the time, like, we don't know how long she's already been at that cabin, that very end of Incredible Hulk cabin.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know if the universe that she's hearing her kids from is moving at the same time frame, anything to do with that. So it could go either way. If they go with there is the 5-year difference, like we have gone through with from Infinity War to Endgame, it would lead us to believe that they are now 5 years older than they were in the show. But she's hearing the voices at the same age. So I don't know where exactly.
But it might take her. It might take her a while to find them. Although it's funny because this kind of reminds me of Into the Spider-Verse, where that was Kingpin's whole thing, was to find his family, and why he ended up tearing the multiverse open. And I feel like she's going to end up doing something similar.
Yeah,
but in a way bigger thing because she's not using a device; she's the actual one doing it.
I have a feeling that what that is going to end up being is I think a lot of people are saying that she's going to break everything and she's going to be everyone wants to paint the bad guy label on her. But I think it's going to be more that she's going to lose herself in the multiverse and Doctor Strange has to go find her. I don't think it's going to be...
Or she accidentally opens doors she didn't in the process that lead to other big bads.
Right. I don't think she's going to end up being in a position where it's we have to stop Wanda. I don't that.
No, we already did that.
Well, we already did that and already showed that it wasn't really that. If you we obviously they had to get to a point where Wanda could stop what she was doing, but it wasn't stop Wanda at all costs, because that was proven was one of the antagonists was the guy doing that. So I think what it will end up being is a search for her more than anything.
Also, I feel like that was the whole point, is that this poor woman has been freaking blamed for everything, and they've made her into the villain so many times. I don't want to see that again. We've already seen it. That's what happened in Civil War. Right? She didn't mean to, blow things up. It just happened. She was trying to defuse a bomb. She was trying to save her team. And then they're oh, well, you're on house arrest now. You're in trouble. Oh, now we have to all sign this paperwork. It's your fault. Everything has always been, oh, it's your fault. Oh, that you joined Hydra and did this and that. That's your fault. Oh, and it's okay, enough. Enough. Leave her alone. This woman has dealt with enough.
And nobody's really saying, there shouldn't be consequences. I think we're just differentiating.
No, consequences are fine.
I think we're just differentiating and I think a lot of people need to understand that there's a difference between antagonist and villain. Mm-hmm. And technically, Wanda was the protagonist of this show, but she's the antagonist of that town. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't necessarily make her the villain. It's not necessarily good guy, bad guy when you're talking about antagonist, protagonist. It's just a point of view. So that's where I think a lot of people misconstrue exactly what that means.
I don't want her to be made into the bad guy. I feel like what she's doing right now, when she opens these doors to find her kids in other realms, it could open other doors that lead to, other villains coming.
Literally anything.
Literally anything can happen, right? So I just, I know if we were looking at comic book origins, like she kind of goes crazy and loses her mind and like all of that stuff. And I don't, I don't want that for her. Like I feel for this character now.
She's basically done nonstop suffering this entire time. Yeah. So one win would be cool. Like she obviously kind of gets a win. Other Vision. Yeah, well that's okay. Let's jump to that because that's I think like in different videos I've watched of people reacting to the finale. There's been a lot of different perspectives. So here's the thing: we talked, or we didn't talk. They had the conversation. Their face off. I do appreciate that the face off they had went from fist to being like, listen, we got to talk logic here because we're both a couple of Spocks. So when they're talking, and the whole like you're part Vision, I'm part Vision, but neither of us is the whole piece. White Vision is the body. Construct Vision is the memory, and there's no soul yet. So I think that White Vision has the realization of like I'm the body and I'm in the mind, but I'm not quite whole. So I think he needs to like basically go find himself, for lack of better words.
Are you saying he needs to go on a vision quest? It was right there, Mikey. It was right. It was right there.
It was right there, but I didn't take that off ramp. I
will always take the low hanging fruit.
But that's what it is. It's in my take on what that was, because a lot of people were saying like, oh, that means he's the Vision. It's like, yes and no. That's the point of that conversation. Neither of them is, but they both are. So they need a whole piece. They need a Triforce basically of a completion there. So that's my perspective. I don't know if you took a different perspective on how that went.
No, I mean that's kind of how I felt. Well, both of them were Construct Vision was kind of going, what am I, right, this whole time. Yeah. He was missing he had a big memory gap. He didn't know who he was, right? He knew who Wanda was, but there was something missing. And then, even after he unlocks the memories for other Vision, I feel like he's kind of going to go through the same thing, which is who am I? Because what was the absence of the Mind Stone, that's really what created Vision and gave him like who he was, and that is so directly connected to Wanda and to the power of the stone in general, which kind of basically gave him the soul element, and that's like missing. Now he literally just is kind of a machine, and he is not connected to Wanda in the same way.
Exactly. Yeah.
So no, I think that's gonna be, but both of them have. This one's going to go through the same thing. I'm like, who am I? Like, what am I? Yeah. I have these memories of things. He probably has memories of feelings, but not actual feelings. So, it should be interesting. But where did he go at the end of the show? Did he just go, bye? Did I miss that?
I think that's something that we will learn in the future when we have to. Because he just flies off. There's no coming back to him after that. He just flies off, and then like some people interpreted that as him saying, "I am the Vision," and flying off to go destroy himself because his mission is to destroy the Vision. So some people took that as a self-realization of, oh, now I have to go end myself, but then not even close to how I interpreted that.
No. And why wouldn't we see that?
Right. I think that they would immediately have him go up in the air, and we see him in the air go boop, and then that would have been that if
Yeah.
that was what they were doing.
God, and that would have been another freaking trauma for Wanda.
Yeah, need to see another one.
You just see him oh my god,
Her new version of the old version just goes up in fireworks in the sky.
Yeah, can we not? But like speaking of flying in the sky, we should talk about the main villain of the show, which we haven't really talked to, who is actually one of the few things that proved to be true out of all the theories, which was Agatha Harkness.
Yeah.
Which was awesome, but I have to be honest, as a witchy woman myself, I was really pulling for her to not be a villain and more be a mentor and teacher. And I was holding out when she was on the stake in Old Salem, and I was
here's the thing.
Please.
I think part of her was actually trying to do that, but in doing that was basically saying she needed to gain as much of the power as she could to save Wanda. Mm-hmm. I don't think it was a noble cause that she was doing it, but I think she was trying to, because she herself said, I can fix what's wrong with this so that you can keep them. So I think she was actually trying to do something, but it was with malicious intent.
But that was a lie, because she, remember in the sky, she said, I can't fix a spell once it's cast. So that was all bullshit. She was never going to keep her kids because the spell wasn't complete. She just wanted to absorb all her power because she thought she deserved to be the Scarlet Witch and not Wanda. There's definitely that part,
yeah.
I'm like, listen, bitch, you weren't chosen. She was fucking chosen. Okay? She was chosen.
By the way, I don't know if I talked about this on the last episode, but I talked to somebody on Twitter about it and said, this was about halfway through where I said, I think it's basically going to be the MCU telling the version of Dark Phoenix that they want to tell. And it kind of ended up being that. And this is a much better version of a Dark Phoenix-like story than we've gotten in multiple movies now.
Instead of an M-Crown crystal, it's the Mind Stone.
Pretty much, yeah. But yeah, it's I do appreciate that they went this route with it to give her that origin, as opposed to just continuing it on I'm just Wanda. I'm just Wanda. She's still just Wanda, but she's also, because this was within her the whole time. So it's...
But I'm wondering how they're going to connect this, though, because if I look at, the Darkholme and the runes, it seems like the type of witchcraft and magic is old world witchcraft, which sort of ties into Norse mythology. I wonder if they're going to bring it into, a celestial realm, because we know we're going to have the Eternals. We know there's going to be more of that stuff later on. Mm-hmm. But I just found, as a practitioner, I found that the areas that they tend to focus on in chaos magic tied a little more into the Marvel universe that we know, right. Specifically with Thor and Asgard and all of that fun stuff, where magic is also
science,
a thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you think about Loki is magic, right? The way he's the trickster.
Yeah.
But I feel like when we think about where does the Scarlet Witch come from, it might be more of that sort of
right
of otherworldly realm.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it definitely going that way, because I honestly have no clue where they go outside of, we know this leads into Doctor Strange. Other than that, this could go legitimately anywhere. So it'd be interesting to get that explanation. I feel like we may not get that until a little further down the road, because I don't think that'll be as much of a narrative key to Multiverse of Madness as it is the next time we spend a lot more time with Wanda.
Mm-hmm. But, like, where does chaos magic come from? I think we'll find that out. Because I can see that happening. I feel it's important that she has a specific type of magic. And they will call that out. And so it will be interesting to see. Because that obviously is not the type of magic that that Agatha uses.
Yeah.
Right? She's more of a rooted in the like actual earthly realm of magic.
Yeah. Well, which
was evident by the different colors and things.
Yeah.
And apparently you can just burn any witches. That's how you get rid of them all. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, Scarlet Witch, regular witch, Salem Witch, everyone gets burned at the stake.
Listen, if we from Massachusetts know, yeah, I'll. I
should definitely be wearing a different crystal other than fluorite for this conversation. Where is my obsidian? I need some protection.
It's good for your teeth. But yeah,
I say like I don't have like tarot cards hanging in the back.
But yeah, it's interesting. I was kind of hoping they weren't gonna make it the Darkhold, because that did just happen on like the second to last season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh, it did.
Even though that's,
I didn't know that. I don't.
And the prop they used for that book, the emblem on the front. Well, no, it's straight up. It was like a stylized thing where it looked like it was just a symmetrical pattern, but it straight up said Darkhold on the front of the book, whereas like this one is more of a symbolic thing on the front. But
I'm glad they didn't call it like a Book of Shadows or something like.
Well, that's the thing. There's like 50 different magical books in the Marvel universe, so I was hoping they were gonna start to like go a little more in that.
Well, direction. That might just be her start. That might just be her starter, though. I mean,
I was just hoping
in Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
All the books.
But I was just hoping that this book wasn't going to be that, because that was like that. It all ties into the Ghost Rider storyline on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and stuff, and I think it was just because there's so many people that think that show is still in the MCU, even though it's really not. I think it can cause some confusion for that, even though the majority of people weren't watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., especially by like season 5, whatever it was. But it was just one of those preferential things where I think it would have worked a little better if it wasn't that specific book, but I think it works fine. It's nitpicky at this point of me to say that, but
it's a Necronomicon.
Yeah, and there's 80 of them. So, yeah. I don't know if you saw the rumor, but Bruce Campbell posted on Twitter like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, saying like, "Well, finished up filming in this beautiful city," and it was a picture of the skyline of Atlanta. So Sam Raimi is directing the movie, so odds are he's gonna be in the MCU now. Which is, he was in 3 Spider-Man movies and was going to be Mysterio in the 4th one of the Raimi movies before it got canceled. So yeah. But
he has to have at least a cameo.
Oh yeah.
He has to have a cameo. That's a rule.
It's a Sam Raimi movie, so the odds are good on that. But yeah, I'm pretty. It's also the first time that Sam Raimi and Danny Elfman have worked together in years, basically since Spider-Man 2. So that'll be cool after their falling out they had. Yeah, I said like how high I basically put it on a ranking. I'm not putting it on you to rank stuff, but like how generally high do you put this in comparison to like the rest of what we got so far?
Infinity War Endgame as a package deal.
Right.
Winter Soldier. WandaVision.
I respect that.
You know who we didn't even talk about, though, is Quicksilver. We didn't even talk about that cameo.
Yeah. I mean,
I thought that was funny. I thought that was good because for a second they did get me.
I like that they
back.
decided to make it a complete troll and literally made it a dick joke. But yeah, it was fun for the meta version, and that I like the fact that Agatha, she was fucking with the town the whole time, and that was her fucking with us. So I appreciate that aspect of it, and I like the fact that it was like in the early episodes when we're in the TV shows, she kept referencing her husband Ralph, and that's who it wound up being, was him. So yeah, I thought that was cool, and then I was just like, oh, whatever. Once it was revealed, because I was like, this is not the part I care about anymore. It was just a big shock at first, and then as soon as they as soon as Wanda was like, dude, fuck you, and like tossed him aside at the fair, that's when I was like, oh, he's definitely not who they're like implying he is. So yeah.
Because he wasn't even he actually did a really good job of like someone who's trying to act like somebody else, because he wasn't his character in X-Men. Like,
he was not far off of him though.
Not far off, but like he also definitely wasn't her brother at all. You know, like it was definitely someone who was like trying to like play a role.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought that was a good troll. But like speaking of trolls, one of the most annoying things about this show has nothing to do with the show. It's to do with everyone's freaking theories and being disappointed when things don't happen.
Yeah.
Like, we're not getting X-Men yet, yo. We're getting Fantastic Four long before we get X-Men. Like, slow your roll.
There's even that aspect where people were putting so much faith on the aerospace engineer automatically gonna be Mr. Fantastic. It's gotta be. And then, like, it's... I get where it comes from, but, like, it would have distracted from the story being told. So it would have been cool short term, but detrimental long term. And I think that they caught that and made the right decision that, no, that shouldn't be introduced here at this point.
And I like that they didn't introduce, like, the next, like, big bad. Like, we obviously had Agatha, but, like, that is really just for Wanda, and everyone kept talking about Mephisto, and, like, Nightmare, and, like, 800 other things. But, like, it's too soon. Like, we don't know where this... Yeah, we don't know where the story is gonna go. However, the one good thing, the nice little tie-in, was the mid-credits, where we get Monica running into a Skrull, and then points up north, which we can only assume that she's gonna go visit Nick Fury.
And that'll be Captain Marvel 2, for sure. So we'll see that the dynamic of Monica and Carol, like, it'll probably be like an uneasy alliance at first, because Monica clearly has, like, I think cloudy feelings about Carol as an adult. And then, because I think the way that I interpreted the reactions to her being referenced in this show was coming off as, like, Monica feeling like she was abandoned, kind of, by Carol, especially when her mom was sick and stuff.
Yeah. It also plays into when the poof happened, which I think the attitude is in general, it's not just Monica, it was that, and she makes a point of saying it, I don't remember if it's in Endgame or Infinity. Oh, no, it's in Endgame, when she says, what's happening on Earth is happening on so many other planets. Like, I have to be up there. Because I forget who gives her shit for, like, not being around.
Yeah.
But it's like she's trying to do too much at once.
That,
and I wonder if...
I think was in the scene when they're all holograms. And I think it's Rhodey. I'm pretty sure. But yeah, whatever. I cut you off to have a stupid aside on which moment that was, but yeah, keep going.
No, but like that, I feel like that attitude extended, and so now everyone's back and they're doing their thing. But I felt like maybe more than just Monica felt like she had abandoned them.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll see a scene where they're like having it out at each other, and Carol will have to basically say, look, I'm sorry I wasn't there for you, but I had to be there for others. And that is, I think that's where they're going to have their, like, at each other's throats because Monica's upset with Carol, and then Monica will realize, like, I get it. I understand. It sucks, but I understand.
Yeah, because she would have been gone when Maria was diagnosed with cancer, because she was already going through cancer treatment before the
she was gone for the majority of, I would say, Monica's life, more than likely, because the beeper that Fury had, I don't think was used at all for the most part. So she was probably out helping other planets out and whatnot. So
yeah. So there's that too. So yeah. But again, there was some feeling that, like, Monica got shortchanged, and that the speech, the conversation at the end with her and Wanda, like, was mediocre. But again, Wanda doesn't know her. Like, they don't really know each other. Like, she feels her grief, and she's trying to help her out, but they're not, like, besties.
Yeah, so it's not on Wanda to suddenly be like, you know what, you're right. And there's a moment where she does have that little bit of realization of, like, she's probably right. But then she gets cut off by Agatha, and we know where that goes. So, yeah, that totally...
Like, she's trying to help her, sure. But she doesn't know her. She works for the agency that took Vision's body apart. Like, she doesn't know anything about this woman.
Yeah. Well, and then on top of that, it's just like, when you're going through a massive bout with grief and depression, you don't necessarily accept help. That's part of DABDA. One of the A's is acceptance.
Yeah.
That's what that is.
You know, like, I would love to have seen more, like, you know, a monologue from Monica, or more, like, great stuff. But I feel like that was just her introduction, and we're going to see her more in the future. Or why would they give her photon powers?
Yeah.
So I think, but hear me out. Not to be the person to speculate, because I just complained about people speculating. But we're totally getting Secret Wars, right? There's going to be a ton more Skrull shit, right?
Yeah, we already know we're getting Secret Wars.
Okay,
that's confirmed. That's Nick Fury's TV show. Or it's not Secret Wars, Secret Invasion.
Secret Invasion.
Yeah.
But we're totally getting a shit ton more Skrull stuff.
Yeah, we're getting that TV show. It's a Disney Plus show. So that was one of the reveals and the huge, like, Disney investor meeting thing last year. So.
But do we think that's going to be an overarching thing in the MCU in general? Because that's a big thing that happens in the comics. You know, who's a Skrull, who's not a Skrull. Like that, I feel like is almost bigger than just a show.
I could see there being one big reveal from it. And then from there, it's just, like, finding people. Like, I could see one big, quote-unquote, good guy character being a Skrull.
But we know there are good Skrulls, and we know there are bad Skrulls. So we only know the good Skrulls so far.
In this perspective, like, the MCU version, we don't know of any necessarily bad Skrulls, but one would assume that that's probably... And then it'll probably be a thing about, like, all Skrulls are bad because somebody was bad. And then...
This is sounding very Battlestar Galactica to me.
I mean, it is. It's hiding in plain sight, I'm
not complaining.
Yeah.
So say we all. Like, I'm on board for that, but yeah, I wonder what's the next movie that we're getting? What's the next new movie? Like, not Black Widow, because I feel like Black Widow's going back in time. Like, what's the next, like, the new MCU?
I got my speculations of that too. I don't think that's necessarily back in time. I think that's her reliving a moment in the stone. But Spider-Man? Is it Spider-Man?
Wait, what?
It might be Spider-Man. I can't remember. Oh, bright screen.
No Way Home? Is that the next one?
Yeah.
Or is Multiverse of Madness or is it Doctor Strange?
No, Doctor Strange is the next one. I thought you meant the one after that, which I think is Spider-Man.
No.
You just mean literally what's the next one we get.
Literally, like, what's the next... Because next is Falcon and the Winter Soldier. That's, like, next. But then what's the next
for movies,
movie? Yeah. Because that's where a major
the next
plot...
movie, is... Oh, wait, no. Shang-Chi already filmed. Eternals already filmed. We might get those... I think we get those before. Release date, Shang-Chi is July 9th of this year, as of right now. So that's the next one that we get outside of Black Widow. And then Eternals, and then Spider-Man, and then Doctor Strange. I thought Doctor Strange was way closer than that.
So maybe something happens within the multiverse before that, and he has to put it together. Like, maybe by the time we get to Doctor Strange, everything is in chaos. Chaos magic.
Yeah, maybe.
I'll do more of a tarot reading, herbal crystal magic.
Magic the Gathering.
But, yeah. I'm just trying to figure out, like, not to, like, over-speculate, because I said I just gave people shit for that, but just trying to figure out, we know that movies are the major plot drivers, and then the shows kind of help move the story along, but not in as great of a way. And if we're going to get a huge villain, it's likely to come out of a movie and not out of one of the
shift
series.
Is so it was always that the solo movies allowed more character development, and then they got to play in the Avengers movies. And now I think we're at a point where the Disney Plus shows are where you're going to get the character development, and then they're going to get to play in the single tier Marvel movies, and then they're gonna go buck wild in the Avengers movies. So I think they added a tier and like shifted where all of the kind of weight will be.
I'm just trying to see who the next like Thanos is. Like, I thought that was one of the great hallmarks of the first, phases
we know
of the MCU, he was this interesting.
We're getting Kang the Conqueror in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, which is a huge character in the comics and is a Richards child in one universe. So they could tie that all together to Fantastic. I think Fantastic Four is the opening of the next big, huge, because we're going to get Eternals, which can tie into things like Galactus. We have the Fantastic Four, which can tie into things like Galactus. Like, we're going that direction.
Do you think it's Galactus?
Well, they said that they're not going to be doing an Avengers movie for a little while. So I would assume the build-up is going to be something of maybe that magnitude. Like, introduce Silver Surfer and then come with... Like, they did it, obviously, in the two Fantastic Four movies. Or... the one, they shoved it into one. But they, introduced Silver Surfer in a Fantastic Four movie, like the second one more than likely. And then from there, it's the growth of what that means for the next Avengers movie, maybe. And then from there, just bigger. Because Kang the Conqueror is also tied into, not just because of the Richards connection thing, but is also tied into like the comic story of Annihilation, which is all that kind of cosmic power relative stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, we're not getting X-Men for a while. Everyone needs to slow their roll on the whole mutants thing. But I wonder if they'll do mutants as some sort of celestial event that triggers the genes, like
the Aurora Borealis.
But you know what I mean? Like I'm trying to think. So the way that they kind of tried to introduce it the first time through Ages of S.H.I.E.L.D. was with Terrigenesis, right? You just like sniff magic dust accidentally, and that's what happens.
Well, that's the way it's always been for the Inhumans. Like going back to like the 70s, that's how it's always been. So
you get the magic dust, so that's fine. But I'm saying like, as a way to introduce mutants. I wonder if they'll kind of do something almost like Heroes back in the day, where like an event triggered it.
Yeah, I could see
and
that.
That's how we'll get X-Men. So it's not like they're just shoehorning them in where they don't exist right now.
Well, and then that was like the big thing with WandaVision too, was people were like, "Oh, she's gonna create mutants." It's like she's only got like 2,000 people in this town. That's not that many people to suddenly have mutants around. Like there's more than that in the United States, you would assume, at the moment. So, yeah, that would have been, like you said, that would have gone in the lines of a shoehorning kind of thing for me.
Exactly. And also, like, she's dealing with grief. She's trying to hold all this together. That's a big ask. She created freaking children. Now you want them to, and yes, they did have powers, but they're her kids. Like, I feel like giving them to other people. They have
powers because she's part of the stone. That's
exactly. But I feel like giving that to 2,000 other people, while you're controlling their minds in this construct where you're playing out your favorite sitcom moments, is a big ask.
Bit much.
It's a big ask. I'd like to suspend, reality and, like, disbelief and whatnot while enjoying, television, but it's a little much.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty much all I got for this. I don't know if you have anything else.
Yeah.
All right.
No, I just wanna dress up in that the end Scarlet Witch outfit.
Did you see
reveal.
Did you see the thing that somebody pointed out this past week of a design thing that's in it?
No.
The necklace scoop looks like
I didn't see
the
that.
stone on Vision's head. Yeah.
I hope she finds White Vision, and I hope White Vision finds himself.
Yeah.
I know Fantastic Four is supposed to be the first family of Marvel, but I kind of like this other second family of Marvel. Oh my god, can you bring Sparky back? Can you make him the green dog?
Well, I don't
I
know.
want Wanda and Vision and the kids. I want that back at some point.
I say you get the kids from the multiverse, and those ones already have a green dog.
That would be good.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll call it there for this episode. And we have, I wrote out a template of all of the things coming out this year, and it's a lot more daunting when you write it out in front of your face. So we're going to have to go through a lot of things to see what we're going to end up talking about, but we got some planned for the next week and a half, 2 weeks so far. So yeah.
But I will say, if there's anything you particularly want us to cover, drop us a line in the comments on Twitter, and we'll prioritize the things people actually want to hear too.
Unless it's a long network television show, which I'm probably not likely to watch. I am watching Superman and Lois, but for the most part, I do not watch 24 episode seasons of anything at all anymore. So
no. Or we never talk about it here, but if you would like me to give you a recap on Attack on Titan, that's also available to you.
Yeah. Oh, I saw the episode that was going up apparently today or something. They delayed the one, but they didn't delay the American dub.
They didn't. No, they did. It's an older episode for the dub. It's not the current episode. Okay. Because the dubs are a little bit behind.
I was like, wow, for the first time ever, the dub is going to be ahead of the...
No, I saw that Crunchyroll and Funimation both dubbed it. Sasageo, Sasageo. It's like my current obsession right now. So yeah, we're happy to, if there are movies coming out, we both have HBO Max. We can
HBO Max and Disney Plus are the big things we'll be paying attention to for the most part.
Yeah.
So
if there's something that you like desperately want to hear our opinion on coming up, please let us know. Also, or just shoot us comments, because we like comments. Like, talk to us, engage with us. whatever.
or don't. It's fine. You don't have to. We won't twist your arm. But yeah, we'll be back with another episode. Yeah. Okay. We'll be back with a new episode soon. Until then, bye.